Remember when you were young and Mom would make sure you'd have a big glass of milk at supper time?
Drink your milk, kids.
I don't want milk. Milk's for babies.
Yeah, babies.
Oh, yeah? Well, I happen to know that milk helps build strong bones. So drink up.
Well, Mr. Miller told me he never drinks milk. Look at him.
Yeah.
Hi, kids.
Oh, that's not good.
Drink your milk. It's healthy, and it's perfectly okay for kids to have a big bowl of sugar flakes cereal because at least it's in a bowl of nutritious milk. Strong bones and teeth from all that calcium. Hey, sure, little Bobby, you can have 3 glasses of chocolate milk per day because, healthy calcium. How about cookies? Okay, what about cookies with nutritious milk? That makes it better.
When talking about healthy bones, it's almost impossible to escape the advertisements pushing milk as the answer to strong bones. The pro-milk faction claims that increased calcium intake, particularly in the form of the currently recommended 3 glasses of milk per day, will help prevent osteoporosis.
This was just reality as a kid back in the 80s. I grew up thinking I was some kind of Einstein saint whenever I voluntarily had a glass of milk instead of absolutely anything else. It was all about that calcium, getting the strong bones and teeth. I could literally feel my immortality setting in with each gulp. It got so that when I moved out of the house to take on the world as a fully functional adult, that I decided to be smart and responsible. So I even bought calcium supplements. Take that, world! Look how healthy I am. I drink milk, but I also take calcium supplements. I'm going to live forever. Wait a second. I just heard a doctor say something. Let me listen again.
They come to me because they get hip replacements, they get knee replacements, and I often wonder, what's that got to do with heart disease? Why is it that heart patients are getting joint disease, or vice versa, patients with bad bones and osteoporosis, they're getting coronary artery disease? As I started doing the research, I started reading about calcium. And I started noticing that because of the bad bones and osteopenia, everyone was on calcium supplements. And then the studies started coming out that the calcium supplements that you take for your bones and for general health are actually increasing mortality. So there's numerous studies that show that if you take more than 1 gram of calcium supplement on a daily basis, increases cardiovascular risk by 20%. Now, if I had a drug that reduces your cardiovascular risk by 20%, I would definitely give it to you. But here I have a calcium supplement that increases your risk by 20%. But nobody's talking about this.
What the? He's saying that people getting that extra calcium have a 20% higher mortality. And unless I'm wrong, mortality and immortality are not the same at all. Was I lied to about my calcium needs? Why am I taking this calcium supplement? Is drinking all that milk killing me? Is milk healthy at all?
Is there something in milk that's worthwhile? Number 1, there's lots of amino acids, and that's good. Number 2, there's lots of fatty acids, including some essential fatty acids. So that's good. Number 3, there's a lot of calcium.
Okay. I was getting a little worried there for a second. Milk is healthy. Not only does it have that sweet, sweet calcium, but also amino and fatty acids. I don't know what those are, but those sound good for me. Nice.
Now, here's the problem with the calcium story. Everyone says you need calcium. You do. You absolutely do. No question. Calcium for bones, calcium for muscle functioning. Calcium is, calcium for hormone release. Okay, calcium is essential.
I know, Doc. That's why I'm drinking milk. So what's the problem?
And milk is a very good source of calcium. So you would say, well, then you should drink milk because of the calcium. And we tell postmenopausal women to drink milk because of the calcium, right? And we give them vitamin D too, right? Wrong. This is the mistake. And the reason is not because there's not calcium, there is, but because there's way more phosphorus in milk. And the problem is that the phosphate binds the calcium. So it becomes calcium phosphate or calcium biphosphate or diphosphate and makes it unavailable for absorption. So in other words, in order to absorb calcium, you have to have calcium without phosphate. And that's not milk. That's other foods, but it's not milk. So in fact, the calcium that's in milk is, for the most part, unabsorbable.
What the? So I'm drinking all this calcium, but none of it is being absorbed by my bones. They told me to drink milk for strong bones and strong teeth. Were they lying to me? I remember all the old folks with brittle bones being told to take calcium supplements to fix osteoporosis. Was it all lies?
And that's one of the reasons why giving milk to people with osteoporosis doesn't seem to benefit them. In fact, might even hurt them. Now, can you give calcium pills? Yes, you can give calcium pills, but does that fix osteoporosis? No, that doesn't fix osteoporosis either. And the reason is because the calcium just gets absorbed and goes right through you, does not end up in the bone. You have to do some things to the bone in order to get that calcium into the bone. And unfortunately, vitamin D is not the answer to that. That's why all of these trials of calcium and vitamin D in postmenopausal women have failed. As a pediatric endocrinologist, I used to take care of multiple children with hypocalcemia. We had to give them calcium, and we had to make sure that the calcium was absorbed. So we actually had to take away the milk. We had to take away dairy. And we had to give the calcium with no phosphorus. We had to increase the calcium to phosphate product in whatever they were eating. So we actually had to take away the milk and give them calcium without phosphorus. We had to give them calcium supplementation in the form of calcium gluconate or calcium chloride or something else, very specifically to increase the absorption.
Oh boy. People who were actually sick with a low calcium condition were restricted from drinking milk. Milk would actually make them sicker. This goes against everything I was taught growing up. To me, this must be like my grandparents who grew up watching TV commercials with doctors hawking their favorite brands of cigarettes, only to find out that it was all fake. They knew cigarettes were bad for people. So the guy said our bodies need calcium, but the calcium I've been drinking isn't being absorbed by my bones. So where is it all going?
Over time, calcium can also form hardened deposits in soft tissues, arteries, and other areas where it's not supposed to be. Some calcifications don't cause painful symptoms, while others can lead to severe complications, especially in the arteries that deliver oxygen-rich blood from the heart to the tissues of the body. This will cause them to stiffen and increases your risk of cardiovascular disease. Studies have shown that almost 90% of men and almost 70% of women older than the age of 70 have signs of significant calcium deposits in their arteries. While these official figures might make it seem like this is an old people's problem, my own experience and that of many practitioners who specialize in the field says otherwise. I would go so far as to say that most people have some form of tissue calcification.
What? Stiffened arteries? Whoa. I was told clogged arteries and heart disease was all because of cholesterol. My teachers, the TV commercials, they brainwashed me into doing something that leads to heart disease? I feel like I'm waking up from the Matrix.
I would go so far as to say that most people have some form of tissue calcification. But because the problem is so difficult to diagnose, it often goes unnoticed for many years while their bodies accumulate more and more calcium in the wrong places. Unfortunately, over time, the excess calcium won't be your only problem. As more and more calcium precipitates into the tissue and is lost in places where you need it, you will most likely also develop a calcium deficiency as well. This phenomenon is called biounavailable calcium, and it basically means that you have too much calcium build up in the body, but most of it cannot be used properly. So you have symptoms of both excess unavailable calcium in the tissue, as well as a deficiency of available calcium in the blood and elsewhere where it's supposed to be.
Okay, wonderful. I have a crap load of calcium inside of me from all that milk and all those supplements. But because it's all in the wrong place, I probably have a calcium deficiency. Boy, I wish I can get all that money back from the worthless supplements. Okay, so I wonder if I can tap into that calcium clogging up my arteries and cram it into my bones before I bite the dust.
This protein has to be activated by vitamin K2. When it's activated, it'll bind calcium and move it out of the blood vessel. When vitamin K2 is not there, there's nothing to take the calcium out of the blood vessel. When the vitamin K2 is not there for the bone will not be able to mineralize because that particular protein in the bone binds to hydroxyapatite and then the calcium gets trapped in the bone. So you would expect that vitamin K2 deficiency is going to cause calcification in the tissues, the blood vessels, and causes demineralization of bones. So it causes osteopenia, and that's exactly what we've been seeing. You get more degenerative joint disease, more osteopenia, and more calcification where you shouldn't find calcification. Blood vessels should not be becoming ossified. So what's happening is that the total body calcium is actually pretty good, but it's all in the wrong places. And calcium supplementation doesn't help because calcium supplements, they just don't end up going to the bone. You need chemicals, you need hormones, you need enzymes and cofactors to put it in the bones.
Aha! Weak bones and teeth isn't a calcium deficiency. It's a vitamin K2 deficiency. That's not a vitamin I was ever taught in school. Sure, they talk about B, C, and D, but never K2. Where can I get this miracle worker? Here, Google. No. Okay, so I see kale. I think there is some of that in the salad greens I buy. Okay, what else? Yeah, natto. That's a gross fermented soy stuff, so nope. Broccoli, okay. Beef liver. No liver for me. Here we go. I can do chicken and pork chops. And if I wanted to be extra sure because I'm getting up there in age, a quick check on Amazon shows some supplements. And these are the first that popped up on the page and are in Canadian dollars. So that's pretty reasonable, I guess. So there you have it. Another myth exposed. Milk is not the angelically healthy substance I was led to believe. It actually has a downside to it. Come on. Hardened arteries? No thanks. But thank you for watching. Now go make sure you're getting your K2. It seems that our lives really do depend on it. Now I don't know about you, but I kind of just want to live a healthy life, and I don't want all these lies getting in the way of that. So if you're like me and want to be healthy and don't want big business lying to you to make you sick, why don't you check out these videos?